Okay, Zelos just recently released their new Blacktip skin diver. So this is kind of a smaller dive watch that they put together, a little bit smaller, a little bit slimmer than what they typically offer, which is actually right in my ballpark. This is the kind of watch that I've really started to appreciate more and more, these sort of slimmer, smaller dive style watches. I think this one comes in around 41 millimeters. And I just received this one in the mail, and it's already on sale on their site. It's already selling out, so I don't have time to do a full review of it right now, but I'm going to do an unboxing and kind of show it to you guys in case you are interested in getting it. As always with Zelos, they tend to sell out quickly, so I wanted to at least give you guys a first look for those of you who are considering buying it, particularly if you can get it at the launch price. You always get a discount there. Anyways, let's unbox it, and I'll tell you what I think about it with my first impressions. You probably noticed the paid promotions flag at the beginning of this video. That's because this watch was given to me for free by Zelos. I do get to keep it after the review is done. However, other than the watch itself, I did not receive any compensation at all from Zelos, nor did they have any input into the content of this review. Okay, so this is a new release from Zelos, which is always kind of cool to check out when they come out with a completely new model. And I think this one fits in really well within their lineup. So originally when they first started, a lot of their watches were on the larger side. They're kind of known for that. Recently with the Horizons diver, they came out with a 39 millimeter diver, and so now this one is coming in at 41 millimeters, so kind of fits in the middle of their range. Pretty nice size, so I'm interested to check this one out. So now, as always, Zelos, they ship in a wooden box with this kind of cool faux leather watch roll that's actually really handy. I use these all the time when I'm out shooting stuff, and the pockets are nice and large, so they can accommodate a pretty good range of watches. But here is the Blacktip. You can see I went with the teal version, and this is my first time going with one of their teal dials, and that is a very striking color. You can see the light play on there is really cool, and I can see why this is one of the most popular ones one of the most popular dial options out there. Now, this one is on sale on their site right now. There are 5 colorways. One of them is already sold out, so the red version, the crimson version, is gone, but this blue one, this teal version, is still there, along with a couple of other color options. It is currently on sale for $429, and then on January 5th, it is going to jump up to $500. All right, let's go ahead and get the packaging off, and we'll see what we got. All right, so here it is. We'll bring in for a little bit closer look here. So you get a sapphire crystal. Maybe just a little bit domed. It's pretty close to the top of the bezel there, but it looks like there's some slight doming on it. The bezel is also a ceramic bezel insert. In this case, it's a very understated bezel, not fully loomed. You get a lume pip up here, but then the numbers are just etched in there, kind of blend away into the background. This is using a Miyota 9015 movement, so that allows it to get pretty slim. And speaking of which, let's go ahead and get the dimensions out of the way and check this out. Okay, so going from the bezel, I'm getting closer to 42 than 41. I imagine they're talking about just the case, because it looks like the bezel does protrude a bit out under the case. So it looks like the bezel does protrude a bit past the case. Yes, that's interesting. When I'm measuring just the case, I'm getting 40. So they have it listed as a 41. I'm measuring closer to 42 going across the bezel and about 40 on the case. I mean, maybe they kind of just sort of took the difference. Anyways, that thickness is one thing I'm interested in. And yeah, with the crystal, you're looking at right around 12 millimeters. Then also 20 millimeter lug widths. This one does not come included. This one does not come with an extra strap, so you're only getting the metal bracelet, which is an H-link bracelet. Very nice, solid quality. And this one does have quick release spring bars on the bracelet. And you can also, let's take a look at that case back there. So you can see it's got a nice engraved case back. Very nicely done. Feels very smooth, not sharp or anything like that. Really cool etching of or engraving of a shark there. Embossing or pressing, I'm not sure exactly what the technique used for it is, but very well done. I'm not sure, maybe Blacktip is the name of a shark. I probably should have researched that, but anyways, it looks cool that there's a shark on the back. This also has a very solid clasp. Zelos has been incrementally improving the clasp, and this is one of the best implementations I have seen of a dive clasp. It has their tool-free micro adjust system, which is incredible. So this allows you to size the bracelet or adjust fine-tune the adjustment of the size of the bracelet very easily. So if your wrist swells throughout the day or the seasons, or if you want to try and slip it on over a wetsuit or something like that, you get a little bit of play there to adjust that. And this is one of my favorite features on any watches, particularly on these Zelos. For the last few releases, they've added this as a standard feature. And once you get used to this, it's really hard to go back to a watch that doesn't have it. It's just so nice being able to adjust your size on the fly. Now this clasp is also a little bit different from the last couple that I've seen. They had a much sharper engraving on the clasp, which looked great, but maybe was a little bit prone to scratches. And it did have a sharp edge kind of here and on the logo. Like if you ran your finger over it, it was kind of sharp feeling. This is much smoother, much rounder. So they've updated that as well. It's a little bit different clasp than normal. Let's take a quick look at the dial, and you can see, it's definitely got that kind of Zelos style. And Zelos has been doing these sort of intricate hands and markers, where you can see that on the cardinal markers at 12, 3, and 9, it's this divided marker that's broken into a couple of different panes. Kind of reminds me of like stained glass, and then you get the same thing on the hands as well. So it looks like the minute hand is just a solid rectangle, but the hour hand is broken into parts just like those main markers. And then you've got a 6 o'clock date, which is color matched, so that's impressive to see a blue date wheel. You really don't see that often. A lot of times on a blue dial, you just get like a black date wheel that kind of sort of matches it. This actually, the color matches really well. And with 6 o'clock dates, I love when they're able to include a half index for the lume, so that at night, when you turn the lights off, you're still getting something showing up down at the 6 o'clock. A lot of times the date completely takes the place of the marker, and then when you do turn the lights off, you can't see a 6 o'clock marker at all. And yeah, I'm really loving that dial color. That's just such a beautiful shade of blue. It reminds me so much of a clear blue ocean looking down into it. I think that's kind of what they're going for. Really beautiful colors there. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get this sized up for my wrist and see how it looks on wrist, and then I'm going to do a lume shot too. We'll close it out. So for the sizing, you can see that they are using screw links, which is also nice to see. Now this is one thing that I have seen people complain about on the Zelos site, is that sometimes the screw links are a little bit loose and they can work themselves loose. So when you adjust them, make sure you go through and tighten every one of them. I'm going to be using what I believe this is a 1mm fine tip screwdriver. I think that I got here. I got this specifically for sizing watch bracelets. Okay, so here it is sized up on my 7.5-inch wrist, and I actually had to remove 7 links. So I don't know if I've ever had to remove that many links, so they're definitely giving you a lot of room here. So if you have large wrists, this will be no problem getting the bracelet to fit. And size-wise, yeah, I think this is absolutely perfect size for a watch for me on my 7.5-inch wrist. 42 is kind of my sweet spot. This is right in there. And I really love how this is kind of on the thinner side. Really makes it wear very comfortably. And again, because of that clasp, I'm able to get a very close custom fit that just, hugs the wrist exactly how I like it. Really cool colors and stuff as well. Let's go ahead and test the bezel action while I got it on there. And this is surprisingly good. So Zelos, they always have really solid bezel action. No backplay, but on previous models I've tried, I've felt that the tension is a little tight. It's a little bit harder to turn than it needs to be. This is perfect. This is like very smooth. You don't need to use a ton of pressure or strength. You can turn it easily enough, but it's definitely not loose. It's not the kind of thing that it's going to turn while nudging, and all of the clicks are very satisfying, very clearly defined. Just feels great. And personally, I really like this just single loom pip that really stands out like that. For me, this makes the bezel a lot easier to use as a timing device. I mean, you can't see the individual minute markers as clearly, but really that pip is what you want to be able to see and to be able to judge at a glance. And again, for me, a lot of times when you have like the fully loom bezel or the fully indexed bezel, it just kind of adds a little bit of visual clutter that actually makes it a little bit more tedious to use. So I like this really clean, sharp contrast there between the black bezel and the loom pip. Speaking of loom pip, let's shut the lights off and get a quick loom shot before we close this out. Okay, so there's the loom profile on the Blacktip. You can see we've got some bicolor loom, which is always cool. So on those divided indexes and hour marker, you're getting a combination of blue BGW9 and green C3. So that's nice. And something I didn't notice for looking at this before we turn the lights off is that you're getting the minute indexes are loomed as well. Those are some very thin stripes of loom going around the edge of the dial, so I imagine that's going to be the first thing to fade. But the rest of this will probably stay bright for a very long time. If previous Zeloses that I have tested is any indication, Zelos is normally excellent when it comes to their loom. So I will be doing a full review of this watch, and I'll test the loom more thoroughly. We'll challenge it against some other watches in my collection and see how it holds up. We'll check it out against some other Zelos watches. In fact, that's one thing I can give you guys here right now is we can do a quick shot against a different Zelos watch. So this is the Zelos Swordfish Titanium. This is the Black Sands version, which has kind of that brownish colored loom paint on it. So this one, yeah, maybe not quite as bright as some of the other colors out there, but you can see they're fairly comparable. Looks like the Swordfish, just as far as area goes, there's a lot more loom on the dial, which makes it look brighter, but this is actually the points that are on there are actually extremely bright, as you can tell. In fact, I think the Blackfish, the loom does appear to be brighter than the Swordfish to my eye here. But again, that's something that we'll see when we do a full loom breakdown in the full review. However, the full review is not going to be coming before the price drops on this. And Zelos, they often sell out, but this one seems to be selling a little bit slower. You know, they haven't sold out more than that red colorway, so you might have a little bit more time to pick this one up than usual, which is kind of cool because that's been one of the biggest problems with Zelos, and you know, especially one of the frustrating things about reviewing them is oftentimes by the time we get a review posted, the watch is sold out and no one can get it. But Zelos has recently, they haven't been selling out as quickly, so they have some stock on their site even for some of the past models, and I think that's a good thing. I think that'll make the Zelos brand more available to more people. And if you are interested in checking them out, yeah, so this, you can check it out. Again, January 5th, the price is going to increase to $500. So if you're interested in this, I would say, you know, jump on it now. The full review will probably not make it out before that January 5th deadline. So that's why I wanted to get this unboxing, to at least show you what you would be getting if you bought it and you wanted to jump in at that pre-order price, not pre-order, at the launch price. But if you're still on the fence, hang around for another week or two, and I should have a full review out by then. And you'll have another chance to decide on it then. But that will wrap it up for today. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.